interesting angle I want to focus on regarding the FBI raid on Project Veritas. Now, by way of background, the supposed justification for this raid carried out by the FBI in conjunction with the SDNY, the Southern District of New York. This is the same outfit that prosecuted me, that's been going after Trump. It was supposedly over a diary that Joe Biden's daughter, Ashley Biden, was missing around the time of the 2020 election. Now, Project Veritas was apparently informed about where the diary was, but they didn't use the diary. They didn't publish anything from the diary. But here comes the FBI raiding the offices of Project Veritas, but also raiding James O'Keefe's home. You know, the typical bring in the force. They would have kicked in the door had O'Keefe not opened the door. And they grabbed his devices, his cell phones, and obviously this is something that they wanted to go through. Supposedly, this is the pretext to find out about this Ashley Biden diary. Now, this is so disturbing that even the ACLU, which doesn't like Project Veritas, in fact, they say Project Veritas is engaged in disgraceful deceptions, and yet, says the ACLU, quote, the precedent set in this case could have serious consequences for press freedom. So you might expect the press to be against this, to realize, wait a minute, if they raid Project Veritas, they could be raiding next to the New York Times. But here's the point. The New York Times knows that Project Veritas is on the right, and they are on the left. So the FBI, at least not in the Biden administration, is not going to come knocking on their door. So they've actually been working with the FBI on this. They are part of the hit. This is what I want to talk about. This is, I'm going to call it the Goebbels Model, because one of the interesting things about Goebbels, as the kind of propaganda minister of Nazi Germany, is that he didn't nationalize the German media. He just put the German media, he made the German media, you can say, an extension of the deep state. And that's what's going on here. So 1 hour after the FBI made its raid, the New York Times was calling Project Veritas correspondents to ask them to comment on it. Think about it. That means they were tipped off. We're about to raid Project Veritas. You guys get on the story. Or they knew about it in advance. So you have the FBI, this is Christopher Wray's FBI, working in cahoots. And this is, by the way, totally inappropriate for a police agency of government to be doing this. Now, after the raid, it turns out that the FBI has informed or turned over to the New York Times internal documents of Project Veritas. And how do we know this? Because the New York Times has a story about it. Quote, internal documents obtained by the New York Times. Obtained how? Obviously released by the FBI. So the FBI is using the New York Times, the New York Times is using the FBI, they're kind of in it together, and they say that these documents, quote, gauge how far its deceptive reporting practices can go before running afoul of federal laws. They detail ways for Project Veritas sting operations. So the Times is using the article to try to make Project Veritas look sleazy. The truth of it is actually when you look at what they quote from the documents, it actually appears like Project Veritas is being very careful. Why? Because they know that they are under scrutiny. They know that they're likely to be raided by people like the FBI. And here's the proof. The FBI has in fact raided them. Their fears were completely justified. Now let's remember that this is a pattern. When the FBI was about to raid Roger Stone, remember that CNN was already on the scene. In fact, CNN was kind of camped out before the FBI even showed up, which means that the FBI tipped off CNN. This is a humiliation ritual we're going to put Roger Stone through, and you can be there to sort of revel in it, and CNN certainly was. So the lesson of all this is there's growing evidence now that our deep state works with these kind of prestige media organizations to target political opponents. It's a very disturbing fascist trend that is very obvious in America. And if you want to talk about anti-fascism, we are the true anti-fascists. Republicans need to sort of recognize that to bust fascism, we need to take careful note of what is going on. All these people who are part of this need to be prosecuted. We need to unleash the RICO statutes against them. We need to put handcuffs on them. We need to lock them up. And all of this needs to be part of the Republic. We need to tell the American people in advance that we're going to do this. This should be part of our platform in 22, part of our platform in 22. There's a gangsterization that's gone on at the highest levels of government. Now, Republicans don't even talk like this right now, but they need to. And I'm sure it's going to be a few that will go out front and start talking like this, and then the rest will follow. That's kind of how it is with the Republican Party. It's a party of slackers. They'll have to be dragged kicking and screaming ultimately to this kind of a more activist Republican Party. But it has to happen. Why? Because if we don't hold these guys accountable, they will make a habit of this. This will become routinized in American life with very disturbing and long-term consequences.
Well, he's on your 6th, Lima. They need customized car insurance from Liberty Mutual.
That was the News Twitter doing a podcast on Project Veritas, how they're under attack. Free press is under attack. Project Veritas, known to leak info about CNN and other crimes that people's committed, like the Bernie brothers, when they said we're gonna put the Trump supporters in Gulag camp. Right now, like for instance, another thing that's going on in Kenosha, Wisconsin, Kyle Rittenhouse case. He did self-defense, but the other side is attacking him. They're probably trying to press charges on him for murder. The current prosecutor attorney, his name is Binder. Binder, if you look it up in a dictionary, means clown show. That attorney held a gun illegally. That attorney should not even be an attorney. Kyle Rittenhouse should be let go because he was defending himself. That's Second Amendment. So you see how our First Amendment and Second Amendment are attacked right in front of your eyes, especially with the two groups that are standing outside the courthouse, social justice warriors, aka BLM, and then the Kyle Rittenhouse protesters, or supporters. So there's a clash right there. And then we've been getting news reports from the fake news media, like mainstream media, like Fox News, CNN, etc. I'm claiming that BLM in New York saying they're gonna go. They had a meeting with a new mayor-elect, Chris. The BLM leaders claiming we're gonna go back to the streets, attack, bloodshed, rocks, whatever. Anyways, this is what they're claiming in Kenosha, and they're claiming Kenosha is like a nobody city. It's really, people live there, innocent people live there. There's businesses there. Okay, enjoy the show.